Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, had a pessimistic outlook for the economy in 2022. In a tweet, the tech billionaire predicted the onset of a global recession. According to Musk, the world will face an economic or financial crisis this year. It is safe to say that so far, the year is certainly living up to expectations, and economies are currently struggling to get back on track. However, Musk did not add any further information to the statement, including not clarifying how he arrived at this decision. What prompted the billionaire to make this prediction? What is the census of financial analysts and experts? Keep watching to find out. Is the world on the brink of another recession? There is a growing list of threats clouding the economic outlook as the global economy recovers from the COVID-19 pandemic. However, most economists believe a recession this year is unlikely. People worry about a recession for good reasons, as inflation, interest rates, and the Ukrainian war are causing global economic damage. At the beginning of the year, Elon predicted an impending financial crisis. When asked about this, he said that macroeconomic forecasting is difficult. That will happen in the spring or summer of 2022, but no later than 2023. Echoing Musk's words, Tara Sinclair, an economics professor at George Washington University in Washington, D.C., told Al Jazeera in an interview that a recession is difficult to predict, as even the best forecasters, like the Fed, they don't know we're in one of these crises until we're in it. Musk made these forecasts before many situations headed into a downward spiral in 2022. Conflict in Ukraine, Russian sanctions, China's coronavirus-free policy, rising inflation, and higher interest rates by the U.S. Federal Reserve are expected to stifle gross domestic product. The concern now is whether deteriorating conditions and ill-considered political decisions will cause the global economy to contract due to the slowdown. Musk isn't investing a lot of money in unicorns either. Twitter user Christopher Mims, who produced a list of startups around the world from various industries such as artificial intelligence, consumer, retail, automotive, and transportation, agreed with Musk's stance, saying there are more than 936 companies valued at more than $1 billion in the world today. What do we think this graph will look like in 5 years? According to Musk, if history is any indication, few will be able to survive the next recession. So, what is the census among analysts and financial experts? It is important to note that some economists are perpetually pessimistic. When a recession occurs, they point to their accurate forecasts for the many times they have warned of impending doom. However, today's mainstream economists are more concerned. A Reuters poll conducted from April 4 to 8 indicated that 1 in 4 economists expects the United States to witness a recession this year, with that percentage rising to 40% over the next 24 months. However, many believe this is a false alarm because a company that declines too early may miss opportunities to strengthen its capital position through higher sales and profits. The timing of the next recession is essential. On the other hand, delaying the transition into recession mode can be fatal. With so much reliance on the timing of recessions, it is dangerous to rely on scary but non-statistical publications, according to experts. If a panel of economists were asked to rate the probability of a recession and the average response was 25%, it is very likely that no single economist would think the risk was greater than 50 out of 50. Larry Summers, economist, former Secretary of the Treasury and President of Harvard University, also predicts a recession, sharp but unspecified when it will happen, according to a Markets Live poll conducted by Bloomberg. Investors and economists agree, with 15% expecting a recession in 2022, 48% in 2023, 21% in 2024, and 16% expecting a recession in 2025 or later. A period of widespread economic downturn characterized by a decline in the stock market, high unemployment rates, and a decline in the housing market is known as a recession. Recessions are usually milder than depressions. Government leadership, usually the president, the Fed chair, or the entire administration, is to blame for the recession with pent-up demand for many items. The U.S. economy still has several catalysts working their way through the system. We believe this is inconsistent with a recession in 2022. However, a recession in late 2023 or early 2024 has a much greater chance. Other experts believe that the U.S. economy will undoubtedly enter a recession, but that does not mean that it will start this year or next year, or even the year after. However, there will be a recession and every business must be prepared. Musk recently expressed pessimism about the economic situation. It looks like 2022 will start this year's dismal series of events. There was speculation that the recession Musk was talking about could lead to a major sell-off in the U.S. stock market, which it eventually did. Initially, the U.S. stock market was at an all-time high. Outside the stock market, there has not been enough new money, although U.S. equity funds are being collected in the polls of a few major companies as a result. Valuations of other companies were low, financing was becoming more difficult to obtain, and with the Federal Reserve's conservative monetary policy, the liquidity crisis was worsening. The inflation rate in the United States also reached new highs. Prices of goods in retail establishments have increased in the past 6 months. Information is transparent. The next phase of the financial crisis will be determined by the Fed's ability to exit its quantitative easing monetary policy. In practice, the U.S. Federal Reserve faces the difficult problem of bringing down inflation, which is at its highest levels in 4 decades, without triggering a recession by raising interest rates too quickly. Most economists believe the central bank had only done so once before, in 1994, when then-Chairman Alan Greenspan oversaw a doubling of interest rates without destroying economic growth. The decline in the world's largest economy, which recorded its fastest expansion in decades last year, will reverberate globally, threatening to push growth in the opposite direction. Barely 2 years after the global economy contracted by 4.3% due to the pandemic. Bill Dudley, former president of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, said last month that a recession was now likely mainly because the Fed waited too long to tighten policy after raising interest rates by a quarter point last month. U.S. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said that the central bank is likely to achieve a soft landing this year. Now we move on to the question that is on the minds of almost every investor. How is Tesla faring in manufacturing its cars in Germany? Tesla appears to be taking a measured approach. According to local media, Tesla plans to start producing 1,000 electric cars per week at Giga Berlin by the end of the month, an increase from 5,000 to 10,000 per week by the end of 2022. Last month, Giga Berlin began delivering the vehicles during an event attended by CEO Elon Musk. Giga Berlin delivered the first batch of the Model Y during the ceremony, but reports from keen observers indicate that the factory is currently slowly building up its vehicle manufacturing at the Gigafactory Berlin site. Tesla is currently building a dedicated battery cell production facility. The plant has been developed very quickly, and there is great optimism that the battery facility will soon be operational. It is estimated that Tesla could switch to 4680 cells and its German-made Model Y could be validated. Meanwhile, manufacturers, including Tesla, have begun preparing to restart their factories in Shanghai as the city works to lift the COVID-19 lockdown, which has kept most businesses in China's economic hub closed for 3 weeks. 2 sources told Reuters news agency that Tesla summoned employees to its factory to prepare for the restart. On the topic of Tesla stock, despite growing fears of a U.S. recession and the shutdown of Tesla production in Shanghai due to a spike in coronavirus infections, stellar stock picker Cathie Wood of ARK Investment remained positive on her top Tesla Incorporated holdings. Tuesday, many find it interesting that Wood remains bullish on Tesla regardless of recession rumors. In a recent webcast, she said that what we said during COVID about the challenges of solving innovation will go further. Wood predicts that as Tesla scales its business to meet demands under these high-pressure conditions, it will achieve truly exponential growth for many years. Wood's bullish stance on technology comes as 2-year Treasury yields recently outpaced 10-year Treasuries, which is often seen as an impending recession. What do you think? Will there be a recession as Musk predicted? Comment below.